Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to welcome you in. This is Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy. You are watching another live show on the Roundtable Remedies. And tonight's show, we have a little twist. We have some amazing, talented speakers on tonight, and we're going to be talking about awkward moments. Now, come on, let's face it. We've all had some awkward moments once or twice in our lives. And I know I've had a lot of awkward moments myself. But in speaker rotation, I just wanted to allow our speakers to say hello and where they're calling from. Lani?
Hi, I'm Loni Ackerman Kennedy, and I'm calling from Rockland County, New York.
Welcome, Lani.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here. This is a lot of fun, and the fact that I can actually set this computer up and connect to you is a miracle.
Yeah, and we got through the little bit of adversity, but we were prepared. So
We're
thank you so much,
prepared.
Lani, for joining us. We got past the awkward moment.
The awkward moment. Yes. I love awkward moments because you have to get
Yeah.
past them. You can't get into them. You just got to go with it.
You gotta go with it. Dori, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Dori. I'm calling from Midtown Manhattan.
Awesome. Welcome, Dori. Thank you so much. Eve, thanks for joining us.
Sure, thank you for having me. I'm Eve Lederman, and I'm in Manhattan on the east side.
So tonight what we wanted to talk about was awkward moments. And we wanted to give an opportunity to embrace our goofiness. And here on the Roundtable Remedies, we created this to inspire, connect, and educate you through real people, real stories, and some of our real challenges. And let's face it, life could be tough, right? And so these awkward moments that we're going to be sharing with you are some of the most embarrassing moments, but we look back on them and we laugh. And so, what are some of your most embarrassing, awkward moments? We want to hear from you. So please comment, like, and engage with us. And we already have some engagement. What an awesome crew. Thank you. Stay with us, okay? So Lani, I know that, through our mutual friend, Frank Callow, we were connected and we were having, the thought of this show a couple of weeks ago. And, now here we are. And I learned the fun fact about you, and it was super interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more, or tell us a little bit about that fun fact?
The fun fact of entering at the wrong time.
Well, no. Talk to me a little bit about the video that I shared about cats and what I learned about you.
Okay. The Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, the Reading Rainbow.
Well, that was. I think it was more awkward for the producers who came to the show. There in must have been 1989, I think, or yeah. I was in Cats, and I had two young sons. They're all grown, but they were really young. And we used to watch Reading Rainbow every day. And so one day there was a knock on my dressing room door, and there was the stage manager and the producers from Reading Rainbow. And they said, "Oh, hi, we're from Reading Rainbow. We don't know if you know who we are." And I said, "Are you kidding me? Reading Rainbow? I mean, we watch you every day." My kids, wow. Well, we're doing a whole show dedicated to cats, lions, and tigers, and books about felines and all that. And we want to do a segment on people become cats, turning into cats. How would you feel about being the hostess to this segment? And I went, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? If I can leave anything to my kids, it will be this segment of Reading Rainbow." And it turned into, it was glorious. It was so much fun. And even to this day, my sons and their friends, their little league, compatriots, they'll say, "That was you? But you used to pick us up from practice in your pajamas and take us home. And that was you?" I said, "Yeah, that was the other me." And it was just so, it wasn't really awkward. It was more awkward when their friends found out. They just didn't know how to relate to me because I was just Mrs. Kennedy making really cool chili. And there was the other one, going on stage at the Winter Garden. There was another awkward moment at the Winter Garden I told you about. At the end of the show, all the cats, they call it exit music, and all the cats, we would dance around, and I actually fell off the stage a couple of times dancing. Yeah, well, what do you expect? So I did. I fell off the bad cat. I forgot what his name was. He was the mean cat. He came over and we started doing a jitterbug, which we weren't supposed to be doing. The Lindy Hop, and he got a little too rambunctious, and we went right off the stage into a lady's lap. And luckily, the stage wasn't that high, but we did get written up in the stage manager's book. But there was a group, they had stadium seating on the stage. And this one matinee, there was a group from a group home, kids with disabilities, there was autism, there were, they would shout out during the show. And when we started dancing at the end of the show, this one kid was so excited. He came onto the stage, down the stairs, and he started dancing. And there were a few of us who were parents. Most of the cats were not parents, and they were kind of like a little intimidated. They felt awkward. It was an awkward moment. So I figured, okay, I'm a mom. I just took the kid and we started dancing around, and I danced him right back up to his seat. But there's an awkward moment that is not from cats that I forgot to tell you yesterday. When my clothes kept falling off in Evita. It was a number where it was called Rainbow High, and I was dressed. I started out in a slip, and by the end of the number, I was in this gorgeous Dior suit with a purse and a stole and hat. Well, the first article of clothing, you have time for this? It'll take 2 seconds. The first article of clothing was a skirt. So I sang the first line, I came from the people, I turned around, and the girl playing the maid was she puts the skirt on and hooks it and zips it in the back. Either the zipper or the hook or both were broken. So I turned around and my skirt fell off. And this is all I need, because I live for stuff like this. I live for banana peel falls, and so I go down, I'm still in the slip, and I sing the second verse. I come back up, and she says, the hook's broken, and puts the skirt on again. I turn around for the second verse, skirt falls off again. Now I can see people coming in the wings. The conductor is crying, he's laughing so hard, and I can't laugh, and I'm just thinking anything, the worst possible thing that could happen on the earth, to keep me from laughing. So I come back, and now she puts a jacket on. So I'm in a jacket and a slip. Now the next verse, I have to walk around in a semicircle and collect a purse, gloves, a hat. I'm already 2 articles of clothing behind, talking about awkward. None of the guys will look at me because they're all crying, because they're laughing. And I'm praying, please don't laugh, but this is so funny. So now I get to the young girl playing the maid, and she'd already missed giving me a hat with hairpins and a mirror. And there was no time. I just had to collect a pair of gloves from her. And she looks at me, and her eyes are like deer in the headlights. The poor girl thinks I'm going to be fired. And meantime, I'm thinking, this is so hilarious, because here I am waiting 40 years later to tell you this story. So she hands me, not only does she hand me the hat, but the 2 hairpins, and holds up the mirror. So somehow or other, I put on the hat, I got the brooch, I got the gloves, I got the bracelet, and the last person was threw a stole over my arms. I looked like I had run out of someone's hotel room, and actually could barely hold it together for the rest of the show. But that's awkward, but you live for it, and it's live theater, and that's what keeps us going. As long as you don't, as long as you hopefully don't lose it, you do your awkward moment, but stay in your character.
Yeah, I like that, awkward moment, but stay in your character. It's so
Yes.
cool to just hear this, and, those that are engaging with us right now, and that watch Cats or reading Rainbow. These are some of the insider things that some of them people on the other side may not, but may not know.
They don't know I'm scared to death
Yeah.
of heights. And
Share
every night I
something.
had to go up on that tire and was just shaking to death. They thought it was acting. It was fear. And yeah, I don't like heights.
I think we had Jim Fullerter ask if you landed on your feet
When?
when you fell, when you were dancing.
Oh, when I fell off the stage? No, I
Yeah.
landed in this lady's lap in the first in the first row. But it wasn't. The stage wasn't that high.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Can you can you can you tell us a little bit about the story on how you and Eve and Dory were working together, and I don't want to spoil it. What happened, and then we can kind of go into Dory's
sure.
perspective of that.
We
Yeah.
well, first of all, it was such an an honor to work with Frank and Eve and Dory and Francesca and Jim. Just basically, I think of Dory a lot. I do. I think of you, Dory, and to watch you work and how focused and how truthful. I learned a lot by watching you. You know, I'm just an old dancer. You are the real deal. And every movement she made, every word she uttered was so truthful. And I tried to emulate that, to take what you were doing and put it into my character, along with the beautiful words that I was allowed to say. And Frank said one thing. He said, whatever you say, whatever line, whatever you're saying, justify it. And that word has stuck in my mind. Justify. Justify walking onto stage at the wrong time. Which I did. And to the horror of everybody backstage, I came on too soon in a very, very emotional, private, beautiful scene. And I thought, oh, this is wrong. I'm not supposed to be here right now. And it was very quiet, and the lighting had beautiful mood to it. And I thought, okay, I have a choice. I can either stand here, but I don't know how long it's going to take, and I could look really awkward, or I can try really hard to get off the stage. And so in my character, I just said, oh, my son who was doing his monologue, um, I must leave because I shouldn't interfere. Meantime, the other part of me is laughing hysterically. Oh my God, what did I just do?
How do I get out
It
of
would
here?
have been fine, but I couldn't find where the curtains separated to get off the stage. So Frank said I looked like kind of like a little hummingbird, just trying to manipulate the curtains. And when I came off, Dory was sitting there just waiting to embrace me because I have a feeling you thought I was just going to burst into tears, that it was such a terrible thing and I was so humiliated. And I went, oh no, I just thought it was hilarious. And she really, don't worry about it. And she's going, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. I said, no, I want to do that again.
I don't know who was worse, for either you who was stuck on stage or Eve who's watching this on the other side, like saying,
Probably
"What
Eve.
just happened?"
I would think it was Eve.
But well, thank you so much, Lonnie, for joining us, and I know we're going to
My
hear
pleasure.
more for you on the final thoughts portion of the show. And so, Dory, when Lonnie came out, what were you thinking, and how did what first? How what would you say back to some of those kind words that Lonnie was saying about you, and then if you want to go into that awkward moment.
Um, I'll address the awkward moment first because this is right in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember it was like after couple weeks of running the show that it happened. So it was very shocking, I think, to all of us because we had run it like correctly many times. But like this time, Lonnie went out early. So, and like Lonnie said, it was during a very emotional, like heartbreaking moment, and I was very tense and didn't really know what was going to happen after that. But honestly, Lonnie's reaction when she came back from that awkward moment is something I'll never forget. She was just like, I loved it. It was so real. I loved it. And I was shocked. I was like, I would be horrified, like I ruined everything. I ruined the show, but that's not true. You didn't ruin the show. And in fact, the audience lives for stuff like that. We live for stuff like that because it's true. It's so hard to recreate truth. I mean, it's what we try to study to do our whole lives, but nothing can recreate truth like actual truth. So it was just it was so much fun, and it was so much fun working with Loni. We had some struggles at the beginning working out a cast, and we went for a while without a mother. So that was really tough. And as it got closer to the show date, I wasn't expecting to get someone that was like super talented. I was, obviously we always hope, but it was just such a relief to have you come into rehearsals. And at the first rehearsal, you were so positive and so energetic, and you brought this new energy that we just soared through the rest of the process because of what you brought. Like we had kind of stalled to a certain point because we had done as much as we could with what we had so far, and we needed you. And it was just so much fun, and I feel so grateful and so lucky to have had that experience with you.
Wow. Well, that's how I feel about you.
Well, here on the Roundtable Remedies, we keep it real, and this is real stories, real people, and these are real heartfelt words, and this is awesome. This is what it's all about, and I appreciate Dori you sharing some of that. So let's come back to some more of the awkward moments, right? So, what do awkward moments mean to you? And when you were first in your career, what was something that was awkward before that you kind of laughed that is not so awkward now?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, so many awkward moments. It's just like, I've also fallen off a stage. Surprisingly, that's definitely one of mine as well. I was okay. Everyone laughed. It was great. Another one that I'd say that happened a couple of times earlier in my acting career is being thrown into shows last minute without really having any rehearsal at all, or maybe just a couple hours of rehearsals. So not really knowing the lines, not knowing how anything goes, and just kind of being thrown into it. And I will never forget the director for one of the shows. He just told me, just listen and react, and you'll be fine. Listen and react. I was like, are you kidding me? I don't even know the basic lines in the script, so I'm furiously trying to memorize all these lines. I'm cramming the night before. And I mean, when it came to the performance, I definitely missed a lot of lines, but I mean, the good thing is you're with a cast too that can cover. And I guess awkward moments when I forgot my lines or where we were in the script were interesting because all I had to rely on were people in the scene that I was looking at and listening to. That's all I could do was listen and react because I literally had no idea what to do next. And I had to listen to see what they said and if they gave me any kind of cue as to what I should be doing, right? And somehow we got through it. I don't even really remember. It's like when you're so in something, you don't even really remember exactly what happened. I don't really remember that performance very well, except feeling awkward at certain moments because I didn't know the line and I was just listening and reacting off of what was going on until something clicked, oh, I'm supposed to do that next.
Yeah, so your improv really had to take off on that one.
Yeah.
And she's in her role every second. There isn't a moment on stage that Dori is not that character. And whatever she does, however awkward or listening and reacting are so, it's just a natural, it's a gift that she has as an actress. And I was so nervous of the first night we just did our first run through with costumes, and I came out of the bathroom, the scene in the bathroom, and I looked at Dori and I said, "What's your name?" And she's supposed to be my daughter, and I couldn't remember her name, and she just looked at me and said, "What was your name?"
There.
What was your name?
In the show?
Yeah, Claire.
Mhm.
She said Claire. I went, "Oh yeah, Claire, my daughter." And we just kept going.
But that's great because, like, my mom forgets. She calls me my siblings' names all the time, so it was very, she calls me.
We could relate. We related to Eve's characters really well. Yeah, even interacting, turning them around. We were relating definitely.
Eve, so hearing Lani and Dori talk and go back and forth and hearing their perspective, what are your thoughts on all this right now?
Gosh, I mean, it's so funny to hear them, from the inside when I'm, when things are happening during the show and I'm on the outside, I'm in the audience and not knowing, what's going through their head or how they work things out. Yeah, it's a fascinating perspective from the actor's point of view. And I don't have any background or training in acting whatsoever. So to know how they work and how they solve problems and how they get through roadblocks is really interesting to know.
Right, and how to get through roadblocks. That's definitely something that's always good to know, and hearing from each other, right? Lani and Dori, coaching and learning from each other. We need those accountability partners. So that's awesome. So Eve, for those that are watching, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, and how you were working with Lani and Dori?
Yeah, sure. So I wear many hats, I think. Playwright is really the most recent of those. But I've been a writer for a while. I started out writing essays. For work, I've written some books for hire, some business books. I edited a book on men's fashion, which I know nothing about. Um, and I wrote a narrative nonfiction memoir called Letters from My Sister on love, life, and hair removal. And from that, I moved into actually writing short monologues. I did a lot of work with The Moth, if you know that improv group. They're actually on NPR now. But I told probably a dozen stories on stage with The Moth. And then I branched out to a few other groups like The Liar Show. Where else? I did something at the Museum of Jewish History. Did something at Bryant Park. Yeah, so I have like a whole bunch of these like 6-7 minute monologues, some 10-minute monologues on a whole range of topics. Everything from a bra store, a Hasidic bra store on the Lower East Side, to a class I took on how to break into porn, and everything in between. And yeah, I started as a playwright probably now like, I'm gonna say like probably 7 years ago. And it really, I mean, honestly, it wasn't an aspiration of mine at all. But for the first play I had, the first play I wrote is like a legal drama, and I had access to this legal material in the form of depositions, and I thought it was just a gold mine of dialogue right there, written for me, that I could use and access. And so that got me started working with dialogue. And that play is called Nothing But the Truth. And my second play, which we've all worked on together, is To Life. And that is a family drama that takes place in a hospital. And the impetus for that was really a family experience of my mother and brother having cancer at the same time and passing away within the same year of each other. So, I mean, the play is completely fictionalized, but that really traumatic and formative experience was kind of at the heart of it.
Well, I think that when you put passion behind your projects, magic happens. And I'm sorry to hear about your loss, but I'm sure that when you released with that final product, it was just how did that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a mixture of a lot of emotions. I mean, it was a catharsis, but also the opportunity to take something so sad and devastating and unbelievable, and turn it into something artistic, and meaningful to other people and universal, um, and long lasting. I think that gave the experience meaning.
Hmm. Let me ask you, because we're touching on a part of awkwardness and those kind of like not embarrassing, but some of these thoughts and emotions and feelings that we normally keep to ourselves. How, at your point in your life, how did you turn that into a project for you, right? That how did you was that were you scared to share some of what you felt? How did you kind of get that burning desire to put something together like the way that you did?
Um, I think, I started writing. I wrote the first play in the 2 weeks I had off from work after my brother's death, and I wrote the second one in the 2 weeks I had after my brother's, or vice versa. I just wrote like in this furious pace. I mean, I'd been collecting ideas. My style is to kind of just have a Word document filled with stuff, and when it reaches this tipping point of 30 pages or something of like totally unorganized material, then I start to kind of break it down and organize it. Sometimes I cut it up, I put it all over the floor, I organize it into some kind of outline, I put like topics together with others. Sort of this madcap way. I know nothing about writing a play whatsoever. I have no training or knowledge, experience, or study in it. Um, but I don't know, I have some kind of way of sort of seeing. I have like a little stage that I have like right on my nose. And I can see where, who comes in and who comes out and where I want people to go and what I want them to do. And I sort of, in my head, watch those things unfold and then kind of commit them to paper, if that makes any sense. Sort of unorthodox. There's not really a real rhyme or reason as to how I write. But I think it was the experience and the emotion that really drove the process and the desire to make something meaningful and memorable out of it.
Right, because I feel that where more as people may hold that in, not many may turn that into something, and
Mm.
so that's where I'm kind of pulling out, and that's awesome to be able to do something like that, where most may not become creative, or they'll maybe feel stuck in that emotion. So that's very uplifting, and that's a remedy for those that are watching, is that if you're going through something, what is your release? And if you use writing as a release, how do you do that? And so please comment and engage with us. And any questions directly to any of our speakers, we would like to, address them and get back to you.
You know,
So
Sorry, jump in and just say, I had so much support in the process, and that was instrumental as well. So my first mentor was a therapist and playwright, and so she really guided me on the first play about therapy. Um, and there were just innumerable people who weighed in. I mean, other actors, other writers, agents, producers, film executives, lawyers, um, lawyers on the legal end of the play to discuss the legal dialogue. And then Frank, my guardian angel and creative partner, showed up, and he helped take my writing to another level with, just incredibly intense work and feedback and readings. And, we would sit at my kitchen table for like 6 hours and read the play line by line by line and analyze every word. Is this word needed? What does it mean? Does it make sense? Does it drive the story forward? I compare it to kind of like studying the Talmud. It was like just such intense reading of the material and delving into it between the lines and around the lines. Um, I would not have plays that are ready to go on stage, let alone like have a reading, without Frank, and then without all the people who came before him as well.
wow, so
Really
big
a
shout out to
needed
Frank
process.
Callow if he's watching with us.
Shout out to
Um, Yeah, and shout out to Frank for putting this out together for us. And what we had some amazing things happen tonight, and so there were some amazing remedies, and We're coming to that part of the show, and it always comes so fast. We're here on the segment of the final thoughts, and following speaker rotation, we were talking today about awkward moments, and we had a good laugh. And so, Lani, what are your final thoughts on today's show?
On awkward moments, as
Just in general, and just the show and
just
how it all went.
so. Oh, I think the show went great, and I'm so grateful to be reunited with Eve and Dori, and you wrote your words, you put them on the floor and arranged them on paper, and we got to bring them out and share them with the public, and they're such beautiful words, and I feel that the three of us are and Francesca are so connected, that we could go right back and just start doing, do the play again. But awkward moments, you just got to go with them, and never as staying in a character in life. Just be yourself. Try to be yourself in an awkward moment, whether you're falling in a puddle of water on Fifth Avenue. Just get up, brush yourself off, just like Fred Astaire. Start all over again. Just keep walking, because that's what life is. It's a bunch of awkward moments leading to some of those great moments. So, and we're in hard times now, and we need those funny, awkward moments to keep us going. And
Yeah.
just everybody stay together and be nice.
Stay together, be nice, and just brush it off.
Brush it off.
Wise words, Lani. Thank you so much. Well,
My
you have a village that supports you. Real quick, I just wanted you to tell us real quick about Knots of Love and what you're doing with that
Oh, sure.
nonprofit.
Yes, it's a charity. It's a knitting crocheting charity for cancer patients, and it was founded by a woman named Christine Fabiani in Newport Beach, California, and we just all women, men, children, all over the world knit, hats, scarves, blankets. There's a new pattern for crutch covers, the tops of crutches, to make them cushier. So I started that today, and it's a wonderful charity. And you can design anything. You can crochet anything. I've seen some really outrageous hats, but the patients are really grateful, and they have a certain yarns you can use and others you can't, because you don't want it to itch and all that. But it's called Knots of Love, KNOTS of OV, Love, LOVE, and you can find it online. And if you knit or crochet, join the fun.
Well, I thought that was very important to add, and
Yeah.
especially about what you do. And so, thank you so much for that ad, Lani. And as we're continuing our final thoughts segment, Dori, thank you so much for joining us. And what are your final thoughts for tonight's show?
I think something that came to mind about the show to life was what an honor it was to go through the entire process and see how the play kind of changed a little bit over time. Eve's writing was amazing, but it also changed over time with Frank and Eve and all of us working together. We kind of created something together, which was, I've never been a part of something like that before, and I was very thankful for that. And as far as the awkward moments go, they are everything. They are just the world. I think that awkward moments are really fun to watch other people go through. It's not fun to be in, but it's fun looking back on. And yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely one of the most important parts of acting, I feel like.
Yeah. You got to feel it, and you got to go through it and just brush it off. And you have to go through that process and just let it lead you. Thank you so much, Dori, for joining us. You have a village here on the round table, and I appreciate you coming on. Eve, closing and anchoring us in. What are your final thoughts?
So, actually, I had a few little stories I want to tell about casting. I think sort of had a final lesson. Dori touched on, how difficult it was, but I think, they didn't really know behind the scenes what was going on. We had sort of like a revolving door of cast members coming in and out. Someone was in and then he had a film, someone else had a family emergency. So like 2 weeks in, we still didn't have a mother and father. And the rest of the cast was asking, are we ever going to rehearse those scenes? Are we just going to keep rehearsing these same 4 scenes over and over again? We had one woman who came, she was like in her 70s. We thought she knew she was auditioning to be the mother, and she came in, she said, so which sister am I? And the sister are in their 30s. And then she made a beeline for the seats instead of the stage. And we said, no, you're over here on the stage. We're in the audience. You're auditioning here. And we had one woman who was just, God bless her. She was trying really hard, but she was awful. And Frank and I had the same sense of humor, and we both turned to each other at the same time and said, I love her. Yes, she's terrific. Trying to psych each other out. We had someone else who I thought maybe could work, but we decided not for the father, and we turned him down. And he turned into this psycho who was emailing Frank, threatening him and saying, I hope I don't see you on the other side of the street because you know what's going to happen. But don't tell my agent. I said that. So they were just, it was just this, the first 2 weeks were just insanity. And I remember keeping my appointment with my shrink thinking, I'm going to need this. And going in thinking everything's settled. We have the cast. Leaving, Frank calling me and saying, okay, sit down. We just lost someone. So it's just total upheaval. And I think, I learned from that to just keep going, keep finding solutions, keep pushing forward. We found Loni, we found the father through networking through other people I've worked with out on the West Coast and someone in East Village. And, at one point, Frank thought maybe this is not going to come together, we're not going to have a show. But to just keep pushing, keep thinking, just keep moving forward. And, we wound up with exactly who we were meant to be with. Everyone who was, I couldn't dream of better, more, perfect people for these roles that embody these characters, and that it all worked out in the end. And I think of you all as friends too, not just casting, characters, but people are gonna, we're gonna embark on a show for years to come, I hope.
Well, it's that part of the night, guys. And Eve, you touched on something towards the end, and it will all work itself out. And no matter what you're going through, if you push through it and you go through that process, I think that more importantly, you got to brush it off. And so we have the final quote of the show, and this is by Dr. Seuss. And the quote is, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Go in grace, go in peace. Thank you so much for everybody for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.